While talking about Parivarvad and seeking India's blessings for this renewed war against corruption, the Prime Minister very evocatively saying some people don't have place to live and some people have run out of space to hide their wealth. Doesn't take any names in particular, but he's clearly talking about several different, politicians and political parties. This is going to be one of the most discussed elements of his speech today. I want to get reactions in on that, Rajdeep. The multiple times he talked about Parivarvad, about, Bhai Bhatijavad, nepotism, favoritism, and seeking that, India's blessings in that war against corruption. What did you think of that, Rajdeep?
Absolutely, Shiv. If you look at a continuum of Mr. Modi, from the time he became the Prime Ministerial candidate in 2013 till today, there have been two USPs of the Prime Minister. One has been his attack on the dynastical culture of Indian politics, and the other has been that I will wage a war against corruption. If you remember in 2014, his first speech at Red Fort, na khaunga na khane dunga. If you remember over the years, the manner in which he has positioned himself as the humble chaiwala's son, taking on, in a way, the namdars of the country, the namdars versus kamdars. In the backdrop of what we've seen in the last month, where the Gandhi family has been brought before the ED and questioned, where you've seen large amounts of money being found in the houses of ministers in Kolkata like Partha Chatterjee. The Prime Minister was signaling, I think, that these remain continuing battles. And it's very interesting, Shiv. He always asks the public to join in.
Yeah.
मैं आपका आशीर्वाद देना चाहता हूं कि आप मेरे साथ ये भ्रष्टाचार की लड़ाई में साथ देंगे. That means he wants the people, he wants to create a sense that this is not just his fight, this is a collective fight. Again, when it comes to nepotism, he says, क्या आप हमें ये साथ में लड़ना है. We have to fight this Bhatijavad, this Parivarvad. And I think these are issues that strike a chord with people.
Yeah.
Because people believe that the system is meant for the highly networked. And the Prime Minister very intelligently positions himself as an outsider taking on the political system. So I think this is the one continuum if you look at over the years. And these are the points that resonate with people.
Yes.
Because most people do believe that our political class is corrupt, and they believe it is nepotistic. So I think these are the twin targets of the Prime Minister and will remain so because they really are his USP.
They are, very true, Rajdeep, when you say twin targets, and especially, sort of conveyed in that emotive language, saying, I seek your support, aapka aashirwad chahta hu. That's what the Prime Minister said from the ramparts of the Red Fort. Let's get some political reactions in right now, because they've already started coming in, and I'm sure that last bit of that 80-minute speech is going to be where, most of the debate is going to take place through the day today. The Prime Minister talking about Parivarvad, asking for India's support in this war against corruption, doesn't take names of any parties, but clearly, the Congress party, will have been one of the targets when he talked about Parivarvad. Rohan Gupta, senior leader of the Congress party, is with us. Tuhin Sinha from the BJP with us. Also privileged to be joined by General Ved Prakash Malik, former chief of the army staff, so we can get a 360-degree view of what Indians think about today. Rohan, to you first. Parivarvad, war against corruption. The Prime Minister, of course, didn't take any of his rivals' names, but what did you think of that? It's becoming one of the most discussed part of his speech, Rohan.
See, absolutely. There is absolutely no doubt on what PM said. But what is important here to note is, you need to, walk the talk. The charity begins at home. That is what Mahatma Gandhi told. Prime Minister has given speech. Obviously, it's a welcome speech. The Prime Minister's speech cannot be criticized. My point here is, can they set the example? Can they tell that, okay, in BJP there is no Parivarvad? Can they ensure that there is no Parivarvad in BJP? Can they ensure that there is no corruption in BJP? So important point here is to note that after 8 years of power, these are the points through which he came to power from 2014. These are repeated again and again. But are these points implemented in his own party or in his own government? The answer is no. So that is what I'm saying. Obviously, he's telling people to join the movement, but the movement can be joined by people when the person who is calling people, he demonstrates in his own party, in his own government that yes, there is no parivarwad or there is no corruption. Every day we see that in the states or the BJP leaders are found in corruption, no action has been taken. And why there is no action against BJP people who caught in corruption? Why there are no actions for BJP leaders who are part of this nepotism of Parivarwad? So this is, I think, somewhere I see this is a hypocrisy. People know that these are the important points. I'm not denying the points, but the person who is talking about these points, are these points implemented by his government or by his own party? This is the big question. Another important point, he spoke about youth, he spoke about women. Let me remind you that it was his speech in 2016 that by 2022 he will give household to each and every Indian. I think today was the day where he has to answer why those houses are not provided. He promised that farmers' income will be doubled by 2022 Freedom Day. Why it is not happened? So yes, you talk about new points. There is absolutely no question on that. But what about your deliverables, which you have spoken for last 8 years? This is the time to show to country, yes, this is what I promised and this is what I delivered, so that people will believe you more. People have trusted you blindly for last 8 years. This is the time for you to deliver and show the people that yes, these are my promises and this is my delivery. Unfortunately, we could not see that in PM speech today.
Okay, you're saying that there is hypocrisy and that the Prime Minister must walk the talk. Tuhin Sinha of the BJP also with us. Tuhin, would you like to respond on that? We've got that first reaction from the Congress party, the opposition, on the Prime Minister's speech.
A very happy Independence Day to you, to Rajdeep, and to everybody in the country. I think, I'm fairly surprised, and I congratulate Rohan Gupta for at least accepting today that Parivarwad and corruption are big issues in the Congress, because I heard him out and at no point did he deny that these two are big issues. And this is what happens when the Honorable Prime Minister reiterates these two issues with such unequivocal clarity. I think, to take this a step forward, it was also an indictment of some in the media who never cease to glorify a corrupt, convicted leader like Lalu Yadav. But more importantly, I think in today's speech, the Honorable Prime Minister has so eloquently and so effortlessly laid out a roadmap towards India at 100. That should be the highlight of it. Yes, the vices which include corruption and which include Parivarwad, which is largely the domain of India's principal opposition party, the Congress party, have to be removed. But more importantly, the 5 punch fronts have to be the epicenter, or have to be the core point of our journey towards a Vishwa Guru. I think that is the biggest takeaway of today's speech of the Honorable Prime Minister. And yes, one small point. The statement which he made, it may seem minor to you, but to inspire social change has been the hallmark of a Prime Minister. And when he says that समाज में एक विकृति आई है और हमें कोई भी ऐसी भाषा या कोई भी ऐसी चीज तो नारी का अपमान करती है उससे मुक्ति पानी होगी, I think that was truly historic. I think if that can come into being, I think India will see a massive social change in our behavior towards women and also a reduction in crime against women.